because of course I have to have a couple of murder mysteries. Hello my loves, and thank you for joining me. It's Kirsten, and today we are doing some anticipated releases for May and June. So these are not all of the releases that are coming out in May and June, these are just the ones I'm particularly interested in for various different reasons. I don't know if I've pre-ordered any. Oh, I have. I've pre-ordered a couple of these, so I'm very excited, but let's just get straight into it. You know what anticipated releases are. These are books that are going to be published in May or June. Starting off with the 7th of May, we have A Spin of Fate. This is by A.A. Vora, and it is the start of a new series, and honestly I just love this cover. That is what intrigued me from this, so let's read a bit more about this. We have perfect for fans of Avatar and Naruto, both things I don't really know. Don't come at me for that, I know it's very popular, but it also says that this is a high fantasy debut, features intricate world building and a Sanderson-esque scientific magic system inspired loosely by the law of karma, which does sound very good. So we have a world that is governed by tyrannic law, an ancient magical force that segregates people into upper and lower realms based on their morality. It's said that if the sinful lowers commit themselves to kindness, their souls will lighten, allowing them the blissful upper realms. Aina, one of the few lowers to ever ascend, just wants to go back. Desperate to reunite with her mother, who remains stuck in the horror-infested homeland, Aina joins the Balancers, a group that defies tyrannic law by bringing aid to those condemned to a life of suffering in the lower realms. Alongside Aina are two new recruits, Aranel, a spoiled noble spine for the upper authorities, and Mezan, a ruthless fighter trying to save his clan from extinction. Okay, so it seems like they all need to get together, there's a war that's building. It seems interesting. I don't know, honestly, anything about this. I don't know if it's going to be one that I really like, but honestly, the cover drew me in, and I'm always willing to try a new fantasy book. So that is on the 7th of May. Then we have one that I just think is going to be a really fun time, and that's How to Age Disgracefully. That's coming out on the 9th of May. This is by Claire Pooley, and honestly, that title alone just has me intrigued, wanting to watch it. I think it's going to be a ridiculous fun time. So we have a senior citizen centre and a daycare collided with hilarious results in this new comedy. So when Lydia takes the job running the senior citizen social club 3 afternoons a week, she assumes she'll be spending her time drinking tea and playing gentle games of cards. The members of the social club, however, are not at all what Lydia expected. From Art, a failed actor turned kleptomaniac, to Daphne, who has been hiding from her dark past for decades, to Ruby, a Banksy-style knitter who gets revenge in yarn. Honestly, that sounds hilarious. So these 3 seniors look deceptively benign, but when age makes you invisible, secrets are so much easier to hide. Honestly, it sounds really good. It sounds like it's just going to be a really fun time, so I'm happy to read this one. I think, honestly, I'm gonna love this, so very excited. Definitely want to get a copy of this. Then we have The Honey Witch on the 14th of May. This is by Sydney J. Shields. Honestly, the cover and the title combined, beautiful. I love the sound of this already, and I haven't even read the synopsis. So we have the Honey Witch of Innisfree can never find true love. That is her curse to bear. But when a young woman who doesn't believe in magic arrives on the island, sparks fly in this deliciously sweet debut of magic, hope, and love overcoming all. So it just seems like it's going to be a grumpy sunshine from the looks of it, because we have Lottie, who is a notoriously grumpy skeptic, and Marigold, who is our main character. It seems like it's just going to be a cute, grumpy sunshine romance in a family cottage on a tiny isle of Innisfree. So it sounds just like it's going to be a cute, fun time. This is probably one that I'm going to get from my library or see if it's available on Kindle or something. And if I end up really liking it, then I'll purchase a copy. But I think this will just be a nice light read, and the cover is really spring, and it just seems like a nice time. Also on the 14th of May, we have A Crane Among Wolves. This is by June Her. I don't think I've read anything by June Her, have I? So from June Her, I read The Silence of Bones, which was a good book, but I haven't read anything else by them. But again, this one sounded quite intriguing. So this one is tale based on Korean history, which is what June Her does a lot of. That's what A Silence of Bones was, a look at Korean history. Let's just read the back of this one. We're set in 1506 Joseon. The people suffer under the cruel reign of the tyrant king Joseon. Powerless to stop him from commandeering their land for his recreational use, banning and burning books, and kidnapping and horrifically abusing women and girls as his personal playthings. 17-year-old Isol has lived a sheltered, privileged life despite the kingdom's turmoil. When her older sister, Suyeon, becomes the king's latest prey, Isol leaves the relative safety of her village, travelling through forbidden territory to reach the capital in hopes of stealing her sister back. But she soon discovers that the king's power is absolute, and to challenge his rule is to court certain death. And we also have a prince who is living in the terrifying shadow of his despicable half-brother. Yeah, it sounds quite good. I think the prince and Isol are going to end up clashing and coming together, and they're going to try and destroy this tyrant. It sounds really good. I do like Junher's writing style. Definitely need to read more by them, and this one in particular sounds quite intriguing, so I'm looking forward to reading this one. Honestly, I'm tempted to pre-order this one. I haven't pre-ordered it yet, but I think if Waterstones does like a double points thing, I might just, because it sounds pretty good. Okay, then on the 21st of May we've got 2 books coming out. The first one is The Lamplighter, which I think this one was another like cover intrigue for me, which, to be fair, a lot of these anticipated releases are. Yeah, this was definitely a cover. I mean, look at this. I don't know if the English cover is going to look like this, because all these covers, because I get them off Goodreads, I get the US editions. So I don't know if the UK cover is going to be slightly different, but this one is by Crystal J. Bell, and it does sound really good. Like, the cover drew me in, and then I was reading the synopsis and definitely wanted it. The whaling village of Warbler is famous for its lucky ship figureheads, and infamous for people disappearing into nightly fog. In this murky locale, the lamplighter position is synonymous with safety and protection, and it's a position Temperance assumes when her father is found hanging from one of the lampposts. Though Temp proves competent, the town is still hesitant to let a woman handle this responsibility. When a girl goes missing after 2 lamps go out, Temp's ability to provide for her mother and younger sisters hang in the balance. She scrambles for answers, hindered at every turn by village authorities' call for her removal. As more villagers vanish under her watch, Temp discovers unsettling truths about the famous Warbler figureheads and her own beloved father. Now she must follow the light out of her own fog of despair, as she faces the choice to look the other way or risk speaking out and possibly dooming herself and her sister to be among the lost. Sounds really good. Honestly, it does sound really good, and I love this cover so much. I really hope the UK cover is like this, but I guess we're gonna find out. But that does sound really good. Definitely one I'm interested in reading. And then we have Goddess of the River, which I am very excited for. Again, this is actually by an author who I haven't read a book by. This is by Vishnu Patel. They also wrote, what was the other book called? Kaikei, which was a really popular book of Indian mythology. I never got round to it because I was really feeling really burnt out on mythology, but I'm actually feeling that itch. I definitely wouldn't read so many back to back the way I did. This one sounds really good. So this is a mother and son, a goddess and a prince, a curse and an oath, a river whose course will change the fate of the world. Ganga, joyful goddess of the river, serves as caretaker to the mischievous godlings who roam her bank. But when their antics incur the wrath of the powerful sage, Ganga is cursed to become mortal, bound to her human form until she fulfills the obligations of her curse. I don't really want to know too much more than that, because I feel like this would be just an interesting one to read and try. I haven't read any Indian mythology based books. I've read a lot of Greek mythology, a couple of Korean mythology based books, but that's it. So I'm really intrigued to try out mythology from different cultures. So definitely want to give this one a try, and honestly the cover's really good, and if I like it, I definitely will be reading KK as well. Okay, so moving on to the 23rd of May for here in England, but I do believe it's different for the US. I think it comes out in August for the US, and that is Hera, and this is by Jennifer Saint, and like I said, in England it comes out on the 23rd of May. Now I do like Jennifer Saint. Jennifer Saint does a lot of Greek mythology retelling, so I've read Ariadne and Electra. Really enjoyed both of those books. I haven't got the 3rd book by her, which was Atalanta. I'm not as interested in that story. That story is based on Jason and the Argonauts, like the ship that he went on and did all. I'm just not as interested in that story. I know it's from Atalanta's perspective, and I probably will get around to reading it eventually, but this one interests me a lot more. So the UK cover is going to be different from this. This is the US cover, as I've mentioned. Let me get the UK. The UK cover is going to look a bit more like this. This is what all the UK hardbacks have been looking like, and I have pre-ordered this one in hardback for Hera. This one I'm intrigued by because obviously Hera is Zeus's sister and wife, and we're learning her story. So we have the immortal goddess, daughter of the ancient Titus Cronus, helps her brother Zeus to overthrow their tyrannical father she dreams of ruling at his side. As they establish their reign on Mount Olympus, Hera suspects Zeus might just be as ruthless and cruel as the father they portrayed. She was always born to rule, but must she lose herself in perpetuating this cycle of violence and cruelty, or can she find a way to forge a better world? Often portrayed as the jealous wife or the wicked stepmother, this retelling captures the many sides of Hera, vengeful when she needs to be, but also compassionate and most importantly, an all-powerful queen to the gods. So it sounds really interesting. I'm intrigued to see Jennifer Saint's take on this woman that has been always portrayed as just this very selfish and jealous wife. So I think it's going to be a really good time. The last one for May, we have Evocation on the 28th of May. This is another one that I have pre-ordered, and this is by S.T. Gibson, and it looks like it's going to be the start of a new series. S.T. Gibson wrote A Diary of Blood, which I really liked, so I'm really intrigued to see what a new story is going to be, and I don't think it's to do with vampires this time. Her second book that I've got on my shelves that I haven't read yet is a Camilla retelling. Diary of Blood was a Dracula retelling, so I don't know if this one is actually a retelling or it's just a new series in this new world that she's created. We have The Devil Knows Your Name, David. As a teen, David was a psychic prodigy operating under the shadow of his oppressive occultist father. Now, years after his father's death and rapidly approaching his 30th birthday, he is content with the high-powered life he's curated as a Boston attorney, moonlighting as a powerful medium for his secret society. But with power comes a price, and the devil has come to collect on an ancestral deal. David's days are numbered and death looms at his door. Reluctantly, he reaches out to the only person he's ever trusted, his ex-boyfriend and secret society rival, Rise. However, the only way to get to Rise is through his wife, Moira. Thrust into each other's care, emotions once buried deep resurface, and the trio race to figure out their feelings for one another before the devil steals David away for good. I'm really intrigued to see what this book is going to be and how the series is going to progress. So yeah, I'm really excited. I do like S.T. Gibson's writing style. I just think they've got a really beautiful prose, so I'm really intrigued to see whether it's going to continue on into this one. Okay, so now we move into June. I don't have anywhere near as many for June, so again, if you've got any books that you're excited about, that you've heard about, that are coming out, don't forget to put those in the comments below for me. In June we have the 4th of June, Two Sides to Every Murder, because of course I have to have a couple of murder mysteries. This is by Danielle Valentine. I haven't read anything by this author before. It is from the author that wrote How to Survive Your Murder, but this one is more of a thriller actually, about two teens who return from the site of a famous murder case that sealed their fates. Most people's births aren't immortalised in a police report, but Olivia was born during the infamous Camp Lost Lake murders. 17 years later, Olivia's life looks pretty perfect until she discovers the man she calls dad is not her biological father. Now she wants answers about her bloodline, and the only place she knows to look is Camp Lost Lake. Most people don't spend their formative years on the run with an alleged murderer, but Reagan did. In the court of public opinion, her mum was found guilty of the deaths at Camp Lost Lake, and both of them have been in hiding ever since. But Reagan believes in her mother's innocence and is determined to clear her name. Luckily for Olivia and Reagan, Camp Lost Lake is finally reopening, providing the perfect opportunity to find answers, but someone else is dead set on keeping the past hidden, even if it means committing murder. So again, that seems like a good time for me. Like, those sort of books are really easy to read. I do enjoy them, so it's definitely going to be one that I get around to reading, whether it's from my library or whether it's a book that I end up picking up physically. We'll just see. Maybe it'll be on like Waterstone's buy one get one half price tables. Normally that sort of book is on those sort of tables, so if that happens I'll probably pick it up like that. But it just sounds like a good time, and I do enjoy a nice murder mystery thriller to break things up. Okay, on the oh no, going too far ahead of myself. On the 6th of June we have The King's Witches, which I think was one that I couldn't find a synopsis for on Goodreads, so let me just go to Amazon. So this is by Katie Foster. It's a historical fiction book. It's set in 1589. Princess Anna of Denmark is betrothed to King James VI of Scotland. Before they can wed, Anna must pass the trial period, 1 year of marriage, to prove herself worthy of being Scotland's new queen. Determined to fulfill her duties to her king and country, Anna resolves to be the perfect royal bride until she meets Lord Henry. By her side is Kirsten Sorsen. her loyal and pious lady-in-waiting. But whilst tending to Anna's every need, Kirsten has her own secret motives for the royal marriage to succeed. Meanwhile, in North Berwick, young housemaid Jura practices the healing charms taught to her by her mother. When she realises she is no longer safe, she escapes to Edinburgh, only to find herself caught up in the witchcraft mania that has gripped not just the capital, but the new queen. Will Anna, Kirsten and Jura be able to save each other, and in doing so save themselves? It sounds really interesting, and historical fiction is one of those things that I tend to really like, but I have to be in the mood for it. So I always try and get one on an anticipated releases list just because I do like historical fiction, and this one was actually brought to my attention through Katie over at Books and Things, so I'll have her channel linked below, but it sounds really good and I'm very intrigued to give this one a try. Then we have Horror Movie on the 11th of June. This is by Paul Tremblay and it's set in June 1993. A group of young guerrilla filmmakers spent 4 weeks making Horror Movie a notorious, disturbing art house flick. The weird part, only 3 of the film's scenes were ever released to the public, but Horror Movie has nonetheless grown a rabid fanbase. 3 decades later, Hollywood is pushing for a big budget reboot. The man who played the Thin Kid is the only surviving cast member. He remembers all too well the secrets buried within the original screenplay and bizarre events of the filming and the dangerous cross lines on set that resulted in tragedy. As memories flood back in, the boundaries between reality and film, past and present, start to blur. But he's going to help remake the film, even if it means navigating a world of cynical producers, egomaniacal directors, and surreal fan conventions. Demons of the past be damned, but at what cost? It sounds really interesting. Like, I don't know why this has kind of intrigued me. Like, I'm not a massive horror person, but this really has. So again, I want to give this one a try. I think it's going to be a fun one. I think I just like the idea of it being around this film. It kind of reminds me a bit like Silver Nitrate, which is a book that I still haven't read yet. Kind of reminds me of that because this one is again about like a film, yeah, which is like to do with an obscure occultist, and you know, that sounds quite good. So apparently I'm just in the horror film kick. I do really want to read this one soon, and I would like to get Horror Film by Paul Tremblay, so that just sounds good. I've never read a Paul Tremblay book, so you'll have to tell me if you have. I think it'll be an interesting time, obviously, because it's on this list. I say that a lot in these videos. Okay, so then we have Middle of the Night on the 18th of June. So this one is by Riley Sager. Now, I've read a couple of books by Riley Sager, and they're definitely a on again, off again author for me. So genuinely speaking, I find that I will read the books once, but not keep them. So I'm definitely going to stop purchasing them and just get them from the library. So this probably isn't going to be a book I get round to reading for a little while, because I imagine that if the library does get it in, it's going to be one that's requested quite a lot, so it might be a long waiting list, but it will be one that I eventually get round to. So this is a thriller book. Riley Sager is a thriller author, and the worst thing that has ever happened to Hemlock Circle occurred in Ethan Marsh's backyard. One July night, 10-year-old Ethan and his best friend and neighbour Billy fell asleep in a tent set up on a manicured lawn in a quiet, quaint New Jersey cul-de-sac. In the morning, Ethan woke up alone. During the night, someone had sliced the tent open with a knife and taken Billy. He's never seen again. 30 years later, Ethan has reluctantly returned to his childhood home. Plagued by bad dreams and insomnia, he begins to notice strange things happening in the middle of the night. Someone seems to be roaming the cul-de-sac at odd hours, and signs of Billy's presence keep appearing in Ethan's backyard. Is someone playing a cruel prank, or has Billy, long thought to be dead, somehow returned to Hemlock Circle? It does sound interesting. I want to give it another go. I've read Lock Every Door, which I did really like. I read Final Girls, which I wasn't as much of a fan of. I want to read Home Before Dark, because that sounds like it will be a good one. Some of them I've really enjoyed. I've read 2. One I enjoyed, one I didn't. And the one that I enjoyed, honestly, I then unhauled, but I kind of want it again because it was a good book. I just find thrillers aren't books that I necessarily reread for a good few years because I want to forget most things. I mean, I did enjoy that one. I think it was a good one. So hopefully this is going to be another one that I enjoy. 2 more left, both of them on the 25th of June, starting off with Fae Days. This is by Genova de Mora. This one is based in Slavic folklore, which sounds really good. If you don't know, I love folklore based books, so when I saw this was based in Slavic folklore, of course I wanted to know more. As a witch in the walled city of Cherengard, Kosa has plenty of practice taming rustlers, fighting chimeras, and brewing lycanthrope repellents. There's only one monster Kosa can't defeat, her ex the Zemi, known as the Tsar of Monsters. She's defied him one too many times and now he's hurting her. Betrayed to him by someone close to her, Corsa's only hope is to trade her shadow, the source of her powers, for illegal passage across the wall to Bolograd where monsters can't follow. Life in Bolograd should be sweet, but Corsa soon develops a fast-acting version of the deadly wasting sickness that stalks shadowless witches, and only reclaiming her magic can cure her. To trace her shadow, she'll have to team up with suspiciously honourable detective investigating the death of the smuggler who brought her across the wall. Even worse than working with the cops is that all the clues point in a single direction. One of the Zemi's monsters has found a crack in the wall and Corsa's magic is now in Zemi's hands. It sounds pretty interesting. I mean, it's based on Slavic folklore, so that's why I'm intrigued, so we're gonna give it a try. Then, with the final one is We Shall Be Monsters, which is also out on the 25th of June, and this is by Tara Sim. The reason why I'm interested in this one is because it says Frankenstein meets Indian mythology. Well, yeah, that sounds about right. I like a Frankenstein reimagining, I like Frankenstein inspired stories, I like mythology based stories. It sounds like a winning combination. So we have, after her sister Lysa's sudden death, Kajal vows to do whatever it takes to bring her back. No cost is too great, even if it means preventing Lysa's soul from joining the cycle of reincarnation. But as Kajal prepares for the resurrection, her sister's trapped soul warps into a Bhutta, a violent wraith-like spirit hell-bent on murdering those who wronged it in life. With each kill, the Bhutta becomes stronger and fiercer, and Kajal's chances of resurrecting Lysa with her soul intact grow slimmer. Blamed for Lysa's rampage and condemned as a witch, Kajal is locked away with little hope of escape. That is, until two strangers who label themselves rebels arrive and offer to free her. The catch: she must resurrect the kingdom's fallen crown prince, aid in their coup to overthrow the usurper who sits on the throne. I mean, it sounds really interesting. I think the Frankenstein elements of this will be smaller. It's just in the fact that we're trying to resurrect people. We're playing around with the line between life and death, and I like the idea of having the Indian mythology woven in. So yeah, I'm intrigued. I think it will be a good time. So those are all the anticipated releases that I have for May and June. As I said, let me know if there are any other ones that you're really excited for that I didn't get around to mentioning, or if any of these you're now excited for. Do let me know. I think a lot of these will be good fun reads. I've got 2 of them as pre-orders, and then the rest I'm going to probably pick up as and when, maybe from the library or something, but they'll be good times. So that's it for this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope at least it's brought a few books to your attention that maybe you didn't know about. But right now I'm very hungry, so I'm going to go and do some lunch and we will leave it here. So actually, you know what? I'm going to be making a bagel for lunch. Well, I'm not making the bagel. I'm going to have a bagel for lunch. So if you've made it this far and you don't know what you want to comment, then leave a little bagel emoji in the comments below, because that's all I'm thinking of right now. But yes, thank you so much for watching. I was filming my outro clip bit and my memory card went, no, you've talked too much, which, I mean, fair, I tend to. But as I was saying, thank you so much for watching. If you have enjoyed this video, please do give it that thumbs up, subscribe and comment. Those 3 things really help this channel out. My social media links and anyone I've mentioned will always be linked below for you, and I will of course catch you in the very next video.